What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we're going to be doing a nice waiver wire video for week 2. We're going to be doing one of these every single week, so make sure you go down below, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, because we're going to be coming out with these every single week along with daily uploads. Now, today in this waiver wire video, we're going to go over at the top my priority ads. So guys that I would spend 15% or more of my fab budget on, guys that I would spend my waiver wire priority on, and then we're going to go into my must ads. So guys, I would only throw, a couple bucks of fab at. I wouldn't burn a waiver priority on, but guys that I'd be adding off of waivers, my top 5 running backs, top 5 wide receivers, and my top 3 quarterbacks and tight ends. All these players are going to be under 50% owned on ESPN. Now, if you want to know exactly how much fab I'm going to be spending on these players, tomorrow I'm going to sit down, do a nice little write-up, and that's going to go on the Patreon. That's going to go in the Discord. So make sure if you want my waiver wire article, I'm going to do every single week about my fab guidance, how much I'm going to be spending on all of these players, on all of these 0 RB targets. If you also want my weekly ranking, so you know exactly who I would start and sit at every single position, all of that is going to be on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. Literally just $5. It is the best deal in all of fantasy because there's also an exclusive spot on the Discord where you can ask me your start sit questions, your trade questions, all of that good stuff. Now, with that being said, let's stop rambling. Let's get straight into this video. Let's go.
Thirsty, trying to choose. I know I'm critical.
So the only player that's going to qualify for a priority ad from me, a priority bid of 15% or more, is going to be Elijah Mitchell. He is going to be on everybody's list. He is going to be the most coveted player off waivers this week, and it's for good reason. I doubt you're going to be able to grab him for less than a 25% bid. He went crazy this week. He had 19 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown. He scored 16.4 fantasy points against the Detroit Lions. And for a 6th-round running back, a day 3 running back for Louisiana Lafayette, the guy on his first ever start, or not a start even, he just kind of came in and filled in for Raheem Mostert. He handled 19 of 21 running back touches after Raheem Mostert went down, and he saw 64% of the snaps, while JaMychal Hasty saw 29%. He also ran 12 routes to JaMychal Hasty's 12 routes. So he got the bulk of the carries and he kind of split the passing down work. And this is such a weird situation that I don't think we've ever seen before. He is a 5th-round pick. He got the nod over 3rd-round pick Trey Sermon. Now Raheem Mostert is out for 8 weeks with chipped knee cartilage. So you have this weird situation going on where Elijah Mitchell just saw workhorse touches in the first week of the season. Nobody saw that happening. Now we have Trey Sermon, who I've heard might just be in the doghouse and could come back as early as next week. So now we have Trey Sermon in the mix. He could possibly take away those carries. It's a really tough read. I think that we're going to see bids anywhere from 30 to 70%, and it's going to come down to what you need based on your team. Are you a 0 RB team? Are you a hero RB team? Do you have a bunch of running backs? Do you even need Elijah Mitchell off waivers? And you have to kind of gauge it yourself. What do you believe? Do you think Trey Sermon comes in there and he's going to handle the workload? Is this going to be a committee all season? Is, 30% of your fab budget worth, a 3-week stretch from Elijah Mitchell? Because we know this offense produces fantasy points. We've seen it. Jerick McKinnon was great last year. We've seen JaMychal Hasty have some weeks. Jeff Wilson was great down the stretch. We know these 49ers running back at the absolute least put together, 5, 3, 4, somewhere in like that 2 to 6 week range of just RB dominance. Now, I want to make it clear, Elijah Mitchell isn't just some random. He's not just some random guy like a JaMychal Hasty. This is a legit running back prospect. He was my RB7 pre-draft. I thought he should have been, like a 4th rounder, a 3rd rounder. He's got some juice, man. He ran a 4.4 at the combine. He's in the 79th percentile or better in size-adjusted speed, burst, and agility. And he has Jerick McKinnon as his comp, and that's a perfect comp. He fits that, Raheem Mostert, Jerick McKinnon, Matt Breida type one-cut speed or one-cut back with speed that Kyle Shanahan loves in this offense. So I think that he is a great fit. He's a solid player. It just comes down to how much you're comfortable spending on him. Now let's go to our must-adds. These are going to be players, under 50% owned, guys that wouldn't be shelling out a bunch of fab on, guys that wouldn't be burning waiver claim on. And the one guy that I thought was pretty shocking to even be under 50% owned on ESPN was James White. I'm not sure how he's not owned in more leagues. I mean, I was talking him up a bunch on the channel. He played in 37% of snaps, and he saw an 18% target share. So while he wasn't out there a bunch, he still saw a lot of targets. He was 4th in the league among running backs in targets with 7. So I think that he sees more carries now that Stevenson and Damian Harris are gone. Or not gone, but they fumbled, so he's going to work in more there. He's going to have 7 targets is great. Like that, like in a full PPR league when you just need an RB3 to go into your RB2 spot, that's not bad at all. So I like him coming off the waiver wire. Then we have Kenny Gainwell, and I'm very excited about Kenny Gainwell. Like I said with Elijah Mitchell is a real dude, a real running back. So is Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell was my RB4 pre-draft. I had him ahead of Trey Sermon. I had him ahead of Michael Carter. I only had him behind Najee, Etienne, and Javonte Williams. And he saw a lot of usage this week for a guy that, I was hearing that he was getting snaps behind Boston Scott in camp, that, he had all of this stuff going on where he's too small. He's not the lead passing down back. He looked great, and he saw a lot of usage in only his first ever week playing in the NFL. He scored the only touchdown of the Eagles running backs. He mixed in for 12 touches. Sanders had 20. So, 20 touches for Sanders, 12 touches for Kenny Gainwell isn't bad. And when I say touches, I mean carries and targets. Now, the biggest thing here is that we thought this was going to be like a three-way backfield where we have Miles Sanders at the top, Kenny Gainwell, we have Boston Scott. Boston Scott had 0 touches and he had 0 snaps. So that's huge for Gainwell because now he's an immediate handcuff, and he also has standalone flex value if he's going to see double-digit touches on a weekly basis. A guy we're going to talk about because I'm simply legally obligated to is Mark Ingram. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm spending $0 on Mark Ingram. I might grab him off waivers. I'm not very interested in Mark Ingram. He saw 26 carries, which is crazy, right? The problem is that he only played 46% of snaps. He's not really the clear lead back on this team, and he only averaged 3.3 yards per carry. He has no juice, and he will never be in a game script like this again where he's going to get those carries. That only happened in this weird, bizarro world where he played against the Jaguars. They went up big and they blew out the Jaguars. Unless you think the Texans are a sneaky playoff team or sneaky Super Bowl contender, which I promise you they're going to be contending for a top 5 pick at the end of the season, Mark Ingram to me isn't that interesting. Even though I know the 26 carries is interesting, the rest of the picture is a little bit shady. And we get a little bit deeper here to a guy like Tony Jones. He's right in that Latavius Murray role, which is valuable. The Saints have had offenses in the past where they've supported multiple running backs on that team. Latavius Murray has been a sneaky RB3 flex spot at points in his career, and Tony Jones saw 11 carries for 50 yards, and he could be useful down the line. If Kamara gets hurt, he could be useful there. So he's decent. There's a lot of these guys are going to be, when we start to see clear handcuffs, that becomes valuable, especially in an offense like the Saints. And the last running back we're going to talk about is Carlos Hyde. And I genuinely hate Urban Meyer for making Carlos Hyde some kind of waiver claim in week 1. He had 11 touches to James Robinson's 11 touches, and this is why I was fading James Robinson and a guy like Myles Gaskin. These coaches do not care at all for these running backs. No matter, James Robinson ran for 1,000 yards last year, and Urban Meyer still drafted ETN in the first round, and he's still giving Carlos Hyde 50% of the touches in week 1. It's very tough, man. This could be a season for Carlos Hyde where he steals. I remember there was a season, I want to say 2019 or 2020, where Carlos Hyde stole a lot of touches and a lot of carries from Duke Johnson on the Texans when we thought, oh man, it's Duke Johnson time. He's going to go out there and be great. Not at all, sir. Not at all. So Carlos Hyde is like an interesting ad. I don't think that he's going to be a guy you can start, but if he's going to get 11 touches on a weekly basis, then he is a guy that needs to be on rosters. Then moving on to the wide receivers, we have Sterling Shepard and a pro scout I trust, Mike Liu. He put it beautifully on Twitter. He said that Sterling Shepard had a 25% target share. He put up 113 and a touchdown, laid all of his stats out beautifully. He finished as the wide receiver 8 on the week. The guy balled out. 25% target share is legit. He is a top 2 wide receiver on this team at worst. Evan Ingram is going to be out with injury problems. Kenny Golladay is fine. He didn't look amazing. You also had, I think, Darius Slayton and Kadarius Toney didn't do too much. So Sterling Shepard moving forward is a very interesting, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. I don't mind picking up off waivers. He finishes the wide receiver 8 on the week. Now, my biggest takeaway with these wide receivers is we've been saying this all offseason. You don't win your league by starting Nelson Aguilar in your wide receiver spot. A lot of my teams already have stacked wide receiver cores to the point where I'm not interested in, the Nelson Aguilars of the world, or Emmanuel Sanders is another one, Cole Beasley. I'm not really interested in these guys at all. Instead, I'm grabbing these rookies. These are the guys that have the most upside. So if you're already set at wide receiver, but you want to have, a moonshot on the bottom of your bench, go with the rookies. And the ones that we're targeting is Terrace Marshall first up. And the ones that we're targeting start with Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall saw 6 targets to Robbie Anderson's 3. He was the clear number 3 wide receiver where he was out there, in the slot for most of his snaps. He had a dominant snap share over the number 4 wide receiver. And it's only going to be a matter of time until Terrace Marshall has his Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase type blow-up game where he goes, 5 for 80 and a touchdown. That could happen as early as next week. Terrace Marshall is a guy that I really like. Like I said, he out-targeted Robbie Anderson. So he is looking very good early on. And then we have Rondale Moore. I love Christian Kirk. I have Christian Kirk on a lot of best ball teams, but in terms of managed leagues, I don't want to have to start Christian Kirk in my wide receiver spot. Christian Kirk is great, but I don't think he's ever going to be a startable wide receiver 2, like a top 24 wide receiver. I don't know if that's in his range of outcomes. It very well could be, but I like going for Rondale Moore because I think Christian Kirk is going to even get some waiver wire bids out there. I'm personally going for Rondale Moore because I think that he has a chance to earn a bigger role. I loved him coming out of school, and he was very efficient on Sunday. He had an 80.9 PFF grade. He had a 4.86 yards per route run, and I think he's eventually going to be the number 2 passing option on that team. He was very efficient on the touches that he saw. I think AJ Green's going to come down that passing totem pole. You're going to see Rondale Moore go up to number 2, and you're going to see Christian Kirk go to number 3 by the time we're looking at like week 10. So I really want Rondale Moore on my team, especially considering how explosive that offense is going to be. Now, the last rookie on this list of wide receivers is going to be Elijah Moore. He saw 56 of 65 snaps. That's massive. I think that's more snaps than Terrace Marshall and Rondale Moore. Now, he only had 1 catch, but all we care about for now with Elijah Moore, he came off that injury. Maybe there was some rust. We saw him on the field, which was huge. He gets on the field. He's going to be running a lot of routes. If you believe in the talent of Elijah Moore, it is only a matter of time until he starts to ball out. So I really like Elijah Moore. I don't know how he's on waivers in over 50% of ESPN leagues. I've seen him go in like the 9th round. I've drafted him in the 9th round before. But then the last one is going to be one of these veteran wide receivers. I don't love grabbing guys like this, but we have Tim Patrick. Now, he's one of the only wide receivers that's not a rookie where I'd grab him, and it's because he's actually a good real-life wide receiver. Like, he's actually, if he played for the Saints or the Lions, I would argue that he would maybe be their wide receiver 1. Like, he's very good. He's just underrated. He had 51 for 742 and 6 last year, which isn't bad at all. And with Judy gone, Judy has a high ankle sprain. I think he's gone for like 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, which those injuries suck, man. And for all you guys out there that had Judy, I feel so bad. I had Judy in a couple spots, nothing too crazy, so it didn't hurt me too much. But like, I wanted to see the year 2 breakout as much as everyone else. Like, Jerry Judy was going to be a stud. Hopefully he comes back and is better than ever, but that sucks. And the reason why we're targeting Tim Patrick is because when Judy and Sutton were on the field together, Tim Patrick had the 3rd most snaps. So he is in line for that wide receiver 2 role now. I will say KJ Hamler is also a nice add because I liked him coming out of school, but it seems that he's the wide receiver 3 on this team, until he plays his way into a better role. Moving on to the tight ends, we're going to go over Cole Kmet, who I think is solid. I've been saying all offseason, I've been banging the drum. I don't understand why Adam Troutman had a higher ADP than Cole Kmet for a certain amount of time. Cole Kmet was a better prospect. He actually was way better than Jimmy Graham down the stretch last year, and it showed on Sunday night where he outsnapped Jimmy Graham. I want to say it was like 23-6 or something big like that, and he saw a lot of usage where he wasn't in line. With these tight ends, we don't want to see them in line as tight end next to the tackle. He had 16 snaps out of the slot. He saw 7 targets. He matched Hawkinson's target share on the week. He looked really good. And shout out to one of the best tight end guys out there, Andrew Cooper, off Twitter. He really makes it a point of emphasis for these tight ends to have a path to being a number 2 option on their team. And Kmet has that path where it's just Allen Robinson. And I know that a lot of you guys like Darnell Mooney. I like Darnell Mooney too, but he has that path where Cole Kmet could be that number 2 option where he emerges as a stud tight end. And then we're going to get a little bit fringier here with Juwan Johnson. Now, I want to say be careful here. He is not somebody you run to waivers, you grab, you put him in there, and he's an instant start on your team. He only saw 12 snaps and 3 catches on Sunday. I know he put up 2 touchdowns on a lot of big numbers. I'm just saying scale it back where I don't think that he is a guy that's going to go instantly in your lineup, but I would grab him, store him on your bench if you're, streaming tight ends, and kind of let him emerge as a Logan Thomas, Darren Waller type guy. He could be that in a couple weeks, but he might not be. Now, like I said, only 12 snaps, 3 catches. That's a little bit tough for me to want to put in my starting lineup. And last up on this list, we're going to go Gerald Everett. I'm not sure how he's not rostered at 50% or more of ESPN leagues. I've been drafting him like 14th, 15th round. He scored a touchdown on the Seahawks offense. Give me pieces of the Seahawks offense. They looked great on Sunday. Like, I really like what Shane Waldron is doing over there. It's humming. Now, I will say we're going to be targeting that tight end in this offense. My only concern is that it seems like Will Dissly is doing his thing as well. Will Dissly and Gerald Everett split snaps pretty much evenly, while Will Dissly saw 3 targets to Gerald Everett's 2. So he actually out-targeted Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett just ended up with the touchdown. So it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth. I don't mind getting Gerald Everett, hoping he scores a touchdown on a given week, but I think until he kind of establishes himself over Will Dissly, he's a spotty start. All right, now that's going to do it for today. Let me know if you guys like that video. I'm still kind of experimenting with in-season content. Do you guys want me to maybe go more in depth where I only go over the wide receivers and the running backs? I could, do a little bit more of notes for each player, but I feel like it's better to kind of just go over the full slate of players, a couple notes here and there. No reason to get too nitty-gritty on guys like Mark Ingram, but I'm also a man of the people. So let me know how you guys felt about that. The top 10 takeaways show yesterday. I kind of like the schedule how it is right now, but I'm open to changing it depending on, what the algorithm thinks, what the likes think, what you guys think. Now, with that being said, I said this earlier. If you want to have access to my exact, fab budget requirements for like hero RB, zero RB targets, all that good stuff, it's going to come out in a weekly post on my Patreon and on my Discord, where you can only get access to it if you're a Patreon member, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. I'm also going to get it set up very soon where we have members on the channel that are, it's like integrated with Patreon. It's going to be so dope when I figure out how to do that. But yeah, all that good stuff's on there. My week 2 rankings now is going to be on the Patreon. So a lot of cool stuff humming over there. We're finally really buzzing here, man. Week 2, fantasy football. We're in the trenches, grinding it out. And I'm excited, man. I got loads of teams that I'm going to hop on, I guess, tonight, because it's going to be Tuesday, where I got to, get all those waiver claims figured out. I'm also debating doing a Tuesday night live stream where I hop on here and, help you guys out with waiver wire claims. I'm not sure yet, because the waiver, here's the thing. I would love doing more live streams with you guys. YouTube just doesn't like my live streams. They've been super kind to me in terms of recommending my like actual videos, but the live streams aren't doing anything. The live streams, I hop on, I get a bunch of you guys to come in, but then after the live stream is done, nothing else comes of that video, where, I'm not really gaining any new subscribers, any new, really gaining anything from the video. Now, of course, like hanging out with you guys and all that, but at the same time, I'm live streaming with you guys Tuesday, I'm live streaming with you guys Saturday, Sunday, sometimes more than that. So I want to pick my spots so, I'm not super strung out if it's not worth it. That's my rant, though. And that's going to do it for us today, man. If you enjoyed, make sure you go down below, subscribe, leave a like. I'm going to be coming out with videos every single day for fantasy football. So if you want to go out there, dominate your league, win a championship, mess around and get some hardware, subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know if I'm looking pretty today. Now, as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yup.